Good morning, and welcome to our first episode of Off the Range. Now, if you read the title to this video like you probably did, you already know what the topic is. But what is that topic? Most video game streamers are not firearms experts. Now, unfortunately, due to both the Easter weekend and trying to recover from a nasty head cold, we did not hit the range this weekend. So we are doing this first episode of Off the Range, and hopefully this is a fun-ish topic. Should be obvious to some, but unfortunately it's not. Now, if you're like me, and when you don't feel well, you lay on the couch and you watch random videos off YouTube or from your subscriptions, some of those videos might be video game streamers. And sometimes when they are playing games that feature firearms in some fashion, they will pass along tidbits of knowledge that they probably shouldn't. And you are left thinking things like, what the French toast did they just say? And unfortunately, yesterday I was watching a video where that happened more than a few times, and unfortunately I ended up having to stop halfway through because it just got so, ugh. I'm sorry, Splattercat, but unfortunately there are times where you are a major offender on this, and you should probably just stay in your lane. I don't mean to be brutal about it, but that's just the sad fact of things. Now, you might be saying, why would I be saying that over some random streamer? Well, Splattercat is very open that he lives in California. I want to say somewhere around San Francisco area, Central California. It doesn't matter. They're in California. And why is that important? California has a handgun roster where after January 1st, 2001, the only handguns civilians can buy need to be on this roster. Now, there are, I think, 901 handguns on that roster as of today. So, while that seems like a lot of options, it's really not. Now, let's get into the first fail. And this is one that I've seen in multiple videos. I usually just ignore it. But after yesterday, we're going to bring it up as our first example because, well, we're a 380-centric channel, and I think this needs to be mentioned if we're talking about this topic. Let's get to the video first so you can see what I'm talking about, and then we will briefly discuss it.
Threats and things that slide through every now and again. If you've been wondering why I've been busting off rounds from my little 380 revolver at that big shark beast thing that's flying.
Okay, did you catch that? His little 380 revolver. Now, fans of 380 will know there are very, very few revolvers chambered in 380 that are available. In fact, I could find a website that had 4, with only 2 of those being in stock. Only one of those kind of looked like the revolver from that game. Though if you go to the Void Train wiki and you look at it, they don't say that's a 380 revolver, so I don't know why you would just say it's a wimpy 380 revolver. Let's move on to another point on this, and that is if you look at the California handgun roster, you will notice that out of the 15, it's actually 14 380s that are on the California roster, not a single one of them is a revolver. They are all semi-automatic pistols. Now that I would say is the minor transgression. It happens in multiple videos. Anytime a game where he starts with a revolver and the game doesn't specifically say what ammo it is, if it feels like the animation is not punchy enough, oh, this must be a wimpy 380. You have no idea what you're talking about. You should stay in your lane, stick to video games, stop making assumptions based on animations in a video game on what a caliber of a firearm is. Let's move on to our second topic. This is where things get worse, unfortunately. Now we're going to watch another clip. This is from a video that was posted yesterday.
That a Glock? Oh, nice. A G17, dude. I'll definitely take the G17 over the 1911 for sure. I'm one of those weirdos that's a big Glock fan. I like Glocks a lot. I think they're really, really great pointing guns. I think the ergonomics on them are just utterly fantastic. But I'm 5'9" and I have a smaller hand than most people. And so some people have pointed out that that's why I like Glocks, where if you're like 6'4" and you have like a huge hand, the Glock is not as comfortable to play around with. But I'm a big fan of Glocks. Some of the generations are better than others. Like, there's good generations and bad generations. So before you buy a Glock, make sure you've researched what gen of Glock you want to get, because the manufacturing is better on some of them than others.
Okay, let's unpack this here a little bit. And we're going to start with, since we hit the California roster, let's look at the roster again. The California roster has 54 options for Glocks on it. Now, fans of the channel and 380 fans will pick up right away that there is not a single 380 Glock on that roster. The G42, which would be a very popular 380 that Glock offers, not sold in California. What I should mention is this is for civilians. Law enforcement can technically buy off roster, and I would say, in my opinion, they have a racket going where law enforcement officers will buy off roster guns, and then they will sell them private party transaction to non-law enforcement individuals for extremely high prices. It'd be cheaper for you to move out of California than buy one of these off-roster guns from a law enforcement officer. That's my opinion anyway. But anyway, so this California roster, there are no 380s on the roster. But what's more important to this part of the video is if you look at the roster, they specifically say there are no Generation 4 or Generation 5 Glocks on the roster, and no Glocks manufactured in the United States are on that roster, aka the G42, which is only manufactured in the United States, as well as the re-releases of the Gen 3, I think it's the G28, and whatever the larger, like Glock 17 size 380 is, I forget the model, not available in California either. So unless you're buying off roster for way too much money, you're not getting a 380 there, unfortunately. But so why is that important to this video? Well, when you're going to talk about doing your research, you should probably be the one who does your research first, because no one who shoots a Glock is going to go, oh, well, there's some that are manufactured better than others in generations. Now, there are changes between generations, which is why there are generations, but it's not like a Gen 3 has crappy manufacturing compared to a Gen 5. You can still buy Gen 3 ones brand new today. They're manufactured still. I don't know about Gen 4 because I'm not a big Glock fanboy, but like Gen 5, absolutely, you can buy those all day of the week, twice on Sunday. And you will see on used shelves, every city in America that has a gun store, you will probably see Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 5 Glocks on a used shelf. You can buy them easily, readily available, nothing wrong with them. Unless you say don't like finger nubs, and then you go with like a Gen 5 over a Gen 3 or whatever. Anyway, so the first point of that would be one generation is not poorly manufactured compared to the other one. They all are Glock reliable, Glock accurate, with a Glock safe action trigger, with a Glock reputation and name brand behind them. The other point that is worth mentioning here is he comments that because he's 5'9" with small hands, that he prefers Glock. Well, being 5'9" with hands, it's more of a personal preference thing over your stature. There are plenty of individuals that are 6'4" with giant hands that prefer Glocks and find them to be ergonomically pleasurable to them. Why? Because they're designed to be that way. Gaston Glock designed the Glock to have a natural grip that allows for instinctive pointing, faster target acquisition in the sight picture, while the hammerless design minimizes the possibility for snagging on clothes and other objects during concealed carry. You can read the rest. But the reason that you like that gun in your hand is because it was designed to be that way. Okay, let's move on to the third and the worst topic that we are going to highlight here today. And this is again from that same video yesterday.
Because we have a VSS, which is a gnarly gun. If you don't know what the VSS is, it fires 9.39 rounds, which are effectively big, giant, subsonic bullets. This thing is like the peak of Russian gun engineering. This and the AS Val are just really fascinating firearms. They have an integrated suppressor. A gunshot from a VSS is like kind of like a finger snap in an empty, echoey room. Very, very quiet, used for assassinations. It was for special forces and for the KGB. And so it's used for assassinating people effectively. And so it's more or less silent. It's got bullets that can basically penetrate just about any armor you can think of. It's subsonic, which means the bullet doesn't snap when it goes past your head or goes past you, so you don't even know you're being shot at.
Okay, so first off, the minor mentionable there is I don't know anybody that would say 9-39. Outside of 30-6, it's 9 by 19, 9 by 39, etc. That's why I changed it to X instead of aught in the captions. More importantly, though, let's start off with some of the things that were said, like integrally suppressed barrel, that make it like snapping a finger in a room. If we go to the Wikipedia on this firearm, because researching is trivial easy in a day with Google, the suppressor effectively reduces muzzle flash and muzzle report of the firearm to 130 decibels. Well, how loud is a finger snap, you might wonder? Off of my decibel meter, that's about 90 decibels. You can feel it hit your eardrum slightly. It is a little uncomfortable, but luckily for you, YouTube and the camera are going to quiet that down so you don't get the full effect of the loud snap. Google says the loudest snap on record is about 108 decibels, which is quite a bit less than 130 just off the numbers. But let's break it down even more than that. If you look at a chart, this one happens to be provided by the fine folks at Silencer Central, you will see that OSHA starts to regulate sound volume at approximately 85 decibels. Now, above that, we're not going to go through all the entries on this scale, but a .22 long rifle suppressed is approximately 115 decibels. Your average gunshot suppressed is 130 decibels. Now, if you look at on the left side, or it might be the right side of your screen, how does a decibel scale work? The part that I think is very telling here is regarding units of 10, as mentioned above, a sound 10 times greater in intensity will be measured as 10 decibels. A sound 100 times more intense than 0 decibels will be measured at 20 decibels. A sound 1,000 times greater in intensity than near silence will be measured at 30 decibels. So the difference between 90 decibels of my finger snap, which I would say would be an average loud finger snap that a human is capable of, versus a silent or a suppressed VSS is 40 decibels. That's a significant sound difference. Significant. Now, the reason that subsonic ammo is usually used, I would say, with a suppressor is when you're firing a firearm, one of the bangs is the ammo going off, right? When you pull the trigger, that ammo goes off. Boom, you got that contained explosion in your firearm. The bullet goes out the barrel. There might be some powder that didn't burn in the barrel that goes out, and you get that nice big muzzle flash and whatnot. The other sound that, depending on the round, the firearm, and how it's loaded, is the sonic boom. So if you have a round that is traveling faster than 1,125 feet per second, that bullet is going to break the sound barrier and you're going to get a sonic boom. Now, if we look at, now I put up on screen, on the right side of your screen are some information on 9mm or 9 by 19. On the left side of your screen is some information for this 9 by 39 cartridge. Now, if you look at the bullet weights on this 9 by 39, they go from about 248 to 250 grains, which is quite a bit heavier than 9mm. They pack more of a punch. It's a bigger, in terms of mass, bigger bullet. While it's moving slower, in terms of E equals MC squared, the difference in mass is allowing more energy to be imparted, in most cases. Now, does that mean that this ammo is going to punch through any armor possible? No, probably not. Now, will it go through Kevlar? Probably. Maybe. Depends on the ammo. But things like a ballistic steel plate, is it going to punch through that? I don't think so. And the reason I say that is we have tested level 3A ballistic plates on the channel, and you will see if you go back and watch those videos where with the same rifle, some ammo the plates will shrug it off like nothing. But if we put, like, say, the 243 Win with a very light, a very fast projectile, it can punch through that plate like a hot knife through butter. The way that you traditionally beat like armor plate is with speed, not so much mass. So the notion that these rounds are just going to go through any body armor, I don't buy it. And especially when you look at the bottom table sources, Russian military data. I don't know anybody outside Russia who has too much faith in Russian military data. Just saying. This notion that this 9x39 round is whisper quiet, like a snap in an empty room, and that you won't hear it going close to you if you're shot at, I don't buy it. I hope never to be shot at one to find out from personal experience, but it definitely strikes me as one of these video game lore things that is not based in reality. Anyway, this video ended up kind of ranty, but I think what we're trying to say is stay in your lane. When we're doing our videos out on the range, we try to confine our thoughts and our observations to our personal experience, not what we've seen in video games and movies. Because everybody knows what's in video games and movies is based 100% on reality. Right? Well, anyway, we hope you found this video entertaining and you learned not to trust streamers for your source of firearm knowledge. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a good day.